Many characters have been released throughout the years of Dokkan, and of course, every unit gets old and requires an upgrade by some point in time. But today, we're going to be focusing on some bad characters as we talk about 7 recently released units who I believe need their EZAs today. Now when it comes to these units, the way that I'll be defining recently released is if the unit released from the 9th anniversary on the JP timeline, which is basically January 2024 up to now, they can find themselves on this list. And of course, we already have our 7 right here in no particular order, but with only 7 characters to talk about in this vid, there will be a lot of personal preferences and biases in terms of who I chose to be on this list. So of course, I may not mention a character that you were hoping to see. So comment down below your thoughts, let us know who is a character who was recently released that in your opinion is disappointing and needs an upgrade at this point in time right away. Let us know who that is in the comments down below. Hopefully you guys will enjoy the video. If you do, show your support of course, but with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So while this list may not be in particular order, I will say I would be remiss if I did not talk about the elephant in the room first and foremost, and that is of course Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. In fact, I imagine that a lot of people in the comments, assuming however many of you guys choose to comment, I'm sure a lot of you probably are thinking Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku should be at the top of this list, and I probably would agree. And I think maybe recency bias has a lot to say about that, but when you think about Kaioken Goku, there's a lot of reasons why it feels like he needs an EZA. First and foremost is the timing and the moment of this character. This is the first time that Kaioken Goku was brought into Dragon Ball Super. This is the moment they're picking and choosing from, Kaioken times 10. A lot of cool things were brought as a part of this character's design, right, in terms of animations and everything. And of course, for any sort of Dragon Ball Super fan, a lot of people will say this is the moment where Dragon Ball Super started to stand, really stand on its own 2 feet and have somewhere to go in terms of potential. And when you have that type of moment, when you have the timing of this character's release being a Golden Week Dokkan Fest T-War post the 10th anniversary meta shifts and everything, I mean, all things considered, this character should be a lot better than he is. And when you look at his counterpart within Dokkan Fest Hit is so much better than Goku, it is not even close. And really, when you look at Goku individually, he is still disappointing in terms of what he should have been. In fact, a lot of people will say that Goku, in terms of what he can offer with this kit, it's hard to really justify a reason to use him because there are other characters who can do his abilities a lot better than he can. So really, it's a really tough situation for Goku to be in. I mean, I'm not the best when it comes to EZA concepts, but when it comes to what I would do to fix this character, it really comes down to 2 prominent issues that I think a lot of people will agree with. The first thing is his HP sacrificing mechanic. I understand that this is the first time Goku uses Kaioken in the show technically. I understand he didn't actually master Kaioken at this point in time, but we've had Kaioken Gokus in the past release who do not lose HP with their super attack effects, and at this point in time with the whole meta shifts and how difficult bosses can be, we cannot afford to have a unit who sacrifices his HP just to do damage for 1 turn. So that's one of the biggest issues for me. I'd probably get rid of that. The other thing is we really need to boost his damage output. At this point in time, I'm hoping Dokkan just comes out and say, hey, you know what, we forgot to add a number to Goku's kit or something. He should be much stronger, because right now his damage output is pathetic. If his damage output could just be buffed, I understand that he is kind of a unit who loses HP and he does have this revive in his kit and everything. But if his damage output was a lot higher, I feel like he would be a lot more acceptable by the overall community in terms of his performance than what he is right now. This character, it is so frustrating because I wanted him to be good. I thought he'd be good. I thought he could actually save Dokkan 2025 because a lot of people were banking on Golden Week being the saving grace since the 10th anniversary, and yet, Goku serves as probably one of the worst examples of helping Dokkan 2025 at all. So it's very tough. I hope this character gets some sort of buff. Obviously, all these characters are not going to get EZAs anytime soon, most likely, but man, would it be nice to see this character actually become good very soon. We'll just have to wait and see and hope for the best, right? But yeah, it is tough for sure. Okay, next up, I think this is a character that a lot of people will agree with as well, Dokkan Fest First Form Frieza. So when it comes to this Frieza, I will say it is a bit easier to accept his weaknesses compared to Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku's, but let's not forget, this is supposed to be Frieza from when he destroyed planet Vegeta and caused the near extinction of the Saiyan race. This is probably one of the biggest highlights of Frieza's career, in terms of what he achieved with himself, right? Obviously we know Final Form Frieza, Golden Frieza, but First Form Frieza is one of the most iconic Frieza forms, and this moment for Frieza is probably one of his most iconic moments, maybe his most iconic moment in the grand scheme of things. But when you think about what he's able to do, you think about the fact that he can stack attack and everything with his super attack and all this stuff, you think, man, this Frieza should be awesome. And yet, his passive is so restrictive, it is not even funny. And it's actually insane how he was even usable a year ago. Because with his kit and everything, he had an intro condition where you needed 2 other space traveling warrior category allies just for his intro, and that was only for a few turns, right? So that was like a temporary buff right there. Also, you needed Terrifying Conqueror category allies on the team to boost his defensive ability. Mind you, he did not actually lead the Terrifying Conqueror category. He did give them an extra buff if they were in the category, but the main 2 categories he led were Planetary Destruction and Space Traveling Warriors. And the 2 categories have characters who can also fit into Terrifying Conquerors, but it isn't one and the same. So just understand that. That was just a big issue right there. Also, I mean, he wanted to face specifically Pure Saiyan's enemies, and on top of that, low-class warrior enemies as well. So yes, he could work well against some base Gokus and Bardoks, but the fact of the matter is, you have a character like Frieza, who is meant to be in specific teams, but also face specific opponents if you want to see Frieza at his best self. And especially considering the time in which he released, this was not something that could work out for him. So it is a very frustrating kit. I think in the grand scheme of things, it is easier to tolerate because he was just a random Dokkan Fest release, not really special kind of celebration timing and everything. However, he was our first Dokkan Fest TOR post the 9th anniversary, at least on the JP timeline. So for the 9th anniversary, we of course had Gogeta, Broly, the Gammas, and of course the king of Dokkan at that time especially, Beast Gohan. So coming off that high note, going into this release with Frieza, that was just such a major downturn that honestly it is still so sad to think about. I'm glad I do not have this unit in my account, but man, if I did, would I not be praying to Omatsu and the Dokkan gods to give this guy some sort of buff. I know there's some other like possibilities with like Wicked Bloodline EZAS and stuff for like Worldwide Celebration Cooler and stuff, but man, this unit needs some sort of boost, some sort of power up. I think the biggest thing, looking at his kit, he needs damage reduction. He needs damage reduction where he could, with like his additional supers or something, because all he has to offer is stats. And at this point in time, you need defensive tools in your kit. You need guard, you need damage reduction, you need dodge. Not having any of those and just focusing on stats, and not even that much in terms of stats anyways, yeah, Frieza needs a lot of help. So that is just tough, but Frieza definitely needs some help for sure. Alright, let's keep going here. Ultimate Gohan. LR Ultimate Gohan. Kind of an interesting choice, I'm sure, for a lot of people at first glance, but when you think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense. And actually, it is kind of sad, I guess, that Ultimate Gohan is one of the characters on this list, because it is a year old now since he's released. He was the Part 2 Golden Week LR last year, right? So basically, it's been about a year since he's released. Happy birthday, I guess, to this Ultimate Gohan. But for his birthday, can we get him an EZA or something? Because this guy needs a lot of help. Like, he is a character who works in Majin Buu Saga with the lead and everything. His kit is meant to work with Majin Buu Saga. Mind you, Majin Buu Saga is a very powerful category. And of course, with Gohan, he can stack attack with his kit and everything. He's got a unit super, which is pretty nice, of course. He's got built-in guard. He's got a bunch of things in his kit, making him want to work with Majin Buu Saga category characters, of course. And when you look at the category, like I just mentioned, it is incredibly powerful. You got Gotenks, for example, who is out right now with the Carnival LR Kalen and Kafla banner. He's very powerful, of course. You have Tech Vegito. Tech Vegito is insanely strong, and obviously, you don't necessarily want to run Tech Vegito under a Majin Buu Saga specific team, but the fact of the matter is, he is in the category, so that's very powerful. You got Family Kamehameha Gohan, you got all these different types of characters, and yet, when you look at Ultimate Gohan, a character who was meant to work with this specific category, you would probably be better off making a mishmash of Ultimate, you know, like Majin Buu Saga characters beyond Ultimate Gohan, because Ultimate Gohan, he has an intro condition where you need 2 or more other Majin Buu Saga category allies. He wants all allies in the same turn to be Majin Buu Saga characters, all these sorts of things. With 24 key or with the active, he will be supporting Majin Buu Saga category allies, but all these things can exist, and yet really, he is not even close to being the best unit on the team to run with, or top 6 or anything like that. You would be hard-pressed to even justify running this Gohan at this point in time. Now, if I had to say what probably is necessary for Gohan to be good, the easiest and most simplest thing that can change for him to be usable again is to give him damage reduction. He already has built-in guard. That is a massive plus. That's already a great start. But really, for a character that is of this design, he needs damage reduction. And if we're trying to tie this into his super attack effects and the additionals that he can do and stuff, make it so that he can boost his damage reduction per super or per attack performed in a turn. Do something like that. But he needs damage reduction. Stats and guard are not enough nowadays, especially for an older character, really not good. You look at Beast Gohan, for example, one of the things that makes him so good is how much damage reduction he has, plus the built-in guard. You know, Ultimate Gohan in comparison, obviously we know Ultimate Gohan wasn't supposed to compete with the 9th anniversary Beast Gohan, but Ultimate Gohan does need damage reduction if he's going to be of any use. And without that, this character is just no good at all. So, it's tough to say happy birthday to Gohan again. I wish he was a lot better, but it is what it is. Ultimate Gohan definitely on the list for me in terms of who I want to get some massive upgrades, because it is tough seeing Ultimate Gohan fans right now. So, there's that. Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black. Another kind of obvious pick, I feel like, for a lot of people looking back in 2024. But this character, man, God, could he have been better? Like, he should have been a lot better, because when you look at this character, Rose is probably one of the best things about the Goku Black arc, obviously, and also on top of that, a lot of people will probably say he is one of the best things about Dragon Ball Super, probably the best villain in Dragon Ball Super for a lot of people, and maybe that's like that's not even really a hot take, it's just a cold take, I would say, but, you know, when you have a character like this, he should be a lot stronger. And yes, he is a random Dokkan Fest T-War. I believe he was the first 2024 technical Dokkan Fest release for the global side of the game specifically. But, you know, you had him released and everything. He's leading Super Bosses, the new category from like the 9th anniversary. You compare him with 9th anniversary Broly. He has all these things. He's meant to work with Super Bosses category allies and stuff. He has a bunch of damage reduction technically in his kit. Also guard for the first turn. But this character is just not good. He's just not good at all. And I think the simple way to fix him is to give him guard. Give him guard in slot 1, or make him do something, because before attacking, he's getting 30% damage reduction rate anyways. If he wants to be a slot 1 character, he needs more in his kit than 60% damage reduction, because 60% damage reduction with guard, we've seen characters who are LRs take serious damage. Rose, without those like stats for being an LR and stuff, and without, you know, all that sort of things in the guard and all, he is even more susceptible to pain and suffering and damage. So Rose is definitely on my list. Like, I wish he could be a lot better. Rose is one of my favorite parts of the whole Goku Black arc personally as well. He's just so cool. The way he's conceptually designed and everything is really interesting to me. There are some things I wish they were a bit changed about his character, but that's beside the point. This character, though, this unit design, he has a lot of potential. You know, the damage reduction, you know, working with Super Boss category allies, giving them ki after receiving an attack, being able to nullify a Ki Blast Super. I don't think I've seen this in a long time, just because I don't even use this character for a long while. You know, Future Saga as a category is probably one of those categories that I'm looking at to get buffs in order to help Rose out. But even then, it's just tough. Like, Rose, I have this character, he's fun at times, but I would be hard-pressed to say that I want to use him in any sort of legitimate content without trying to prove a point, or just for the sake of just having a challenge or a bet being thrown my way. So, Rose, I'm sorry, you are on this list for sure, buddy. Alright, next up, Super Saiyan Gogeta. I am sure a lot of people are going to be telling me that I am being a dumbass for adding Gogeta onto this list, but Gogeta, you know, I think that this is actually a pretty valid kind of, you know, unit to put on here, given who he is, given what he is. He is a 9th anniversary LR with incredible animations from one of the best movies, you know, in general for Dragon Ball, with the Super Broly movie and everything. All the stuff, all the hype, everything. He needs to be a lot better. You look, and I think we'll talk about another kind of 9th anniversary character in just a sec, as a bit of a spoiler, but when you look at Beast Gohan, who is also part of the 9th anniversary, and you look at how Beast Gohan is handling himself still in the top 10 conversations at minimum, you're saying to yourself, if Beast Gohan can be in these conversations, why can't Gogeta be at least slightly in the top 15 or top 20, right? In terms of just LRs. He doesn't have to be at Beast Gohan level, we understand that, of course, but can he not be at that, like, close to it? It doesn't feel like there is much going for him nowadays. And when you talk about his kit, he is able to stack defense, but raising defense is not enough. You need more in terms of defensive boosting and everything if we're going to see Gogeta do a lot more value in general. On top of that, you look at this character, and it's something that when I was prepping this list, I didn't even realize this until I saw it once again. He doesn't have damage reduction in his kit, right? His base form right here does the attacks effective against all types, which is the typical kind of Gogeta thing, of course. He's got orb changing, he's got guard for a few turns and everything before you want to transform him and whatnot, but that's all he has to offer. Then you transform him, and when you transform him, you're like, oh, hey, he's going to be insane. Kind of, but not really, because don't forget, he's losing his ability to stack now. He does massively raise attack for 4 turns, but that is it. And also, all he really has for defensive tools is a great chance to dodge. And, you know, for a great chance to dodge type of character and everything, you know, dodging is really good. Having a great chance to do so is nice, but there are a lot of fights, especially nowadays, that cancel dodge, which means his whole dodge defensive kind of mechanic is basically null and void. It's useless. And Gogeta is not a character who is going to be necessarily, you know, with the greatest of defensive stats and guard and everything. So when you have all those things in mind, when you look at what Gogeta is kind of supposed to be and like how cool he is and everything, I am a firm believer that this Gogeta should be a lot better. Now, how will he get better? It remains to be seen. I mean, I think the easiest option is to get more movie hero characters, more superhero characters that will buff him and do some things for him. But for the time being, Gogeta, the thing is, a lot of people probably will say Gogeta is still decent because he can link with some of the really powerful characters like the Tech Super Saiyan Blues and stuff. That is all true, but Gogeta in and of himself, his own kit, is not even close to the same, and it just is so tough. I wish he could be a lot better. I want him to be a lot better. I think he should be a lot better with the EZA and everything, but he is probably not going to get an upgrade anytime soon, obviously, and it is tough because I think this character is so cool. like, he's just way too cool to be as good or as bad as he is right now at this point in time. Okay, let's keep going. The other 9th anniversary character that I was kind of alluding to, 9th anniversary Broly, his counterpart. And I mean, if we're going to mention Gogeta, Broly was like the more obvious pick to me between the two, but if I was going to say Gogeta, I had to say Broly. And Broly, he has some cool stuff about him, you know, being a Dokkan Fest LR and stuff. You know, he can raise attack, stack attack in the base form. He's got some nice things going for him. He's got built-in guard, which is actually really awesome right there. You know, he's got those things going for him. He could do a bunch of additionals for more stacking. And of course, he can transform into full power with his domain. Of course, the domain, that has never been one of the big things that people love about Broly and his design and everything, but he does have the domain, of course. His 12 key super with the full power does an AoE super, so all these things are cool, but he does lose stacking his full power, so that does suck. And with his passive in his full power mode, in his most powerful form, right? He still retains the built-in guard, which is great against all attacks, but he only has damage reduction right here before he attacks while his domain is active. Understand, a domain is a temporary thing for those who do not know. I'm sure a lot of people do know this though. And if the domain is temporary and it goes away, this part of his kit is all of a sudden gone. And then he has no damage reduction with guard. And he's basically in the same kind of similar boat as Ultimate Gohan, who we just talked about, where the guard is all well and good, it's a great defensive tool, but you need more. At this point in time, you need a lot more with defensive tools like damage reduction and stuff if you want to be competitive. And Broly, for as great as his animations are, for as cool as he is, a lot of people were praying for an LR Broly. We finally got that for an anniversary. He needs to be so much better. And I think it's tough nowadays to figure out how to do it because Broly, you're not going to probably see a lot of Broly buffs lately with the Worldwide Celebration campaign last year being focused on Broly. I don't think Broly's going to see a lot more love lately, but one can hope. And honestly, I mean, Broly should definitely be, I think Broly is going to be near the top of my list in terms of characters who I want to see get a massive glow up in the very near future, because man, would it be lovely if he could be so much better. Alright, the last one I want to talk about, and I think, you know, if I have to like give a setup for this character, I will say, if Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku is not like the obvious choice for a lot of people, I think this character is probably the next one up. And of course, that is Super Saiyan 3 Daima Vegeta. Now, Daima Vegeta, I feel like before Kaioken Goku was released, Daima Vegeta was probably the most disappointing character in recent memory for a lot of people, given all the factors considered with his release. And that was up until, you know, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku released, where I think, you know, Kaioken Goku saved Vegeta because he took the mantle of being the most disappointing in terms of release timing and everything. But when we talk about Vegeta, remember, Vegeta is technically a random Dokkan Fest in terms of the timing of his release. However, he was promoted as the Part EX of the 10th anniversary. So when you look at the timing of this character's release, the fact that everyone was synced up for this, Global and JP were synced up for this release in particular, the fact that everyone was hoping to see Super Saiyan 3 Daima Vegeta come to the game finally because we saw him in the show and everything, he was so cool. We thought he was going to be a Sunday character, he was not, he was going to be part of the 10th anniversary Party X and everything. Now that we got him, everyone was so excited, his animations look so clean, of course, everyone was hype on his release. And then, very quickly, the hype went down. And the reality started to kick in that this guy has some things going for him, but really he is not even close to what he should be, given his own personal hype, given the timing of his release, all of those things considered. And it is so frustrating. I am not even necessarily a big Vegeta fan. I was, but I kind of converted to Goku over the years. But, like, I think anyone understands that Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is like a moment that a lot of people have been hoping for and been waiting for. To finally see it is like a bit of a catharsis, I guess, in a weird way, but like it is. Oh my god, he should be a lot better. This character is set up in a cool way too, where he wants to be a slot 1 character, and going through the 10th anniversary, one of the biggest issues for a lot of units, for as far as the community was concerned, were that a lot of units were not able to be slot 1 characters, especially out of the gate. So for Vegeta, he was meant to be a slot 1 character. He's got basically like 70% damage reduction in slot 1, up to 90% for that first turn with a built-in guaranteed intro and everything, and the scouter for the first turn. He's like, okay, this character should be pretty good in that position and just cover all the situations, and yet, despite all that, he is taking a lot of damage. And if you have to ask me, the simple solution to this character, I didn't really talk about the solutions for Gogeta and for Broly, but for them, I guess the simple solutions are just boosting damage reduction. For this character, forget the damage reduction, give him guard. If he has guard and 7% damage reduction, we understand that this character will be built different. And I think they knew that, which is why they didn't give him guard, but if he has guard, he would be so much better. Understand that he is a TOR with TOR stats, and he's not stacking attack and defense over time or nothing. He's pretty much stuck at a certain point in time eventually. So without dupes, if you don't have dupes, for example, if you're in those situations, Vegeta needs guard. Guard is what's important for this character to survive, and he doesn't have that, so he's just suffering. So it's tough. This character has a bunch of categorical diversity. I love these on successors. I love these on accelerated battle, full power, power beyond Super Saiyan, gifted warriors, all these different things. But the fact of the matter is Vegeta needs more. Hopefully he can get more. There are still a lot of other Diamond releases to happen. Hopefully with all those Diamond releases, this Diamond Vegeta will get a bunch of support to make him usable once again. But yeah, for the time being, it is tough. I really don't want to think about him too much more because it is just painful to look at his face and think about how much more he could have been. But anyways, that's going to be where we wrap things up. Obviously, we talked about the 7 characters who I believe need an EZA at this point in time. But who do you think needs an EZA who has been recently released? Let us know in the comments down below who that unit is, of course. Again, if you guys enjoy the vid, show your support, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 1K subs. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, stay blessed, and I will see you all in the next one.